this video today, we're going to go over a lot of different things when it comes to the Whoop app. If you're using it, the nuances you should know. If you're not using it, the benefits of using it. And this is all based off of 3.5 years of using it myself, as well as working with tons of people who've used Whoop and just understanding the nuance, the algorithm, the pros and the cons, where to take a grain of salt and what to do with it. So by the end of this video, you'll know, do I want to use Whoop? And if I'm using it, am I interpreting all of this data correctly? Now, first of all, I love Whoop. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I find it's a great way to help me optimize my health without taking too much of my time, as well as a great way to help my clients optimize their health and for me to get an insight as an outside viewer for what's going on with them. The downside to Whoop is it takes a little bit to learn and understand what to do, how to interpret things, how to navigate through it. But after you get over the initial learning curve, it takes me maybe like 5 minutes a day to get a lot of data every day that I think is super valuable. So let's look at why you should even listen to me. Without talking about any of my clients, this is my experience with Whoop. Like I said, it's about 3.5 years. This is just the last 30 days. And if you look, these are all the activities that I log. I log pretty much everything that I do every month. Some people will just let Whoop calculate it. I actually start and stop because I want to make sure that it knows when I'm being active. And this is my lifetime activities. High HRV at 230, which I boast, and look at all of these activities. It's wild. I've done a lot of different things. I really know the nuances between activity, recovery, and sleep when it comes to this app because I love it so much. And I've also been on both sides of the spectrum where I have gotten a really low recovery and really shitty sleep, and then really long sleep and really high recoveries. Hence the stratification here. I think most of the low days have been either overtraining or sickness, and most of the high days I went to bed earlier when I was tired and was low stress and had a fulfilling day. By the way, the reason I'm doing it this way is because Whoop, as I'll show you, has an online site, but it just doesn't look like the app at all, and I thought it'd be very difficult to look at all the data, and I want people to see it as they're going to see it when they're looking at on their phone app. So sorry, this is a little suboptimal, but I think it'll do. So if we're looking at, this is what the home screen on the app looks like. So you will have, and you can customize what's up here. I want to know my recovery percentage, my HRV, my strain, and my restorative sleep each day. Those are the things that's most important to me. If you are new to the app, this is mostly what you're going to want to worry about. Secondarily, you're going to want to log activities and that kind of thing. When you log an activity, it comes up, you can select what you're doing. Again, the app, you don't necessarily have to manually start and stop, but it is not 100% accurate. So you may miss some minutes where you're either warming up before a workout, or it might even elongate it. So if you want accurate data, I suggest starting and stopping. And if you're like, oh, that's too much effort, well, maybe you shouldn't have a Whoop because there's other things that are more comprehensive. And if you want to get accurate data, I think that's the minimum viable input from your end to gather data, especially on the activity front. So you can search whatever you're doing. Now, the big thing with weightlifting, this is the first tip for those of you who have been using Whoop for a while. Weightlifting will not get you as much strain, and it's not as accurate as using the part that they just added a year ago called Strength Trainer. So Whoop estimates strain based off of cardiovascular output, so heart rate during activity. What it does not do, unless you use Strength Trainer, it has an algorithm where you can put in, which I'll show you here in a bit, your workout, and it estimates a muscular strain. Now, it's not 100% effective, but rather accurate. But the ballparking is very helpful for estimating strain, because if you are only in the gym and you're not doing sports, you're not running, you're not hiking, or any of these kinds of things, it's going to tell you that you have like an 8, 9, maybe 10.0 strain at most. And then it'll say that you're fully recovered, where you might not be fully recovered. And then you'll push it too far, and overtraining is a really big risk. So I encourage all my clients, and I myself use Strength Trainer, even though it's a little cumbersome, because then it increases the estimated strain, which we'll get to. If you're new at Whoop, just know Strength Trainer is going to be better than weightlifting, but every other activity for the most part, you can just log as was shown a few seconds ago. There's where you see Strength Trainer. Every other activity, you can just hit Start Activity, and then you end the activity when you're done using that button there. I have already put in a bunch of workouts through Strength Trainer, and this has really changed my average strain, again, for the better, which I think is a really big part of this equation. I want to show you what it looks like. So for example, This day, I have 5 sets of incline dumbbell bench, lat pull down, back squat. You see it. And down here, obviously in the bar, you can start the workout and go through it. But so the problem with this, and what I have a big qualm with Whoop, is that once you've inserted a workout like that, you can edit it. There was a glitch for a while where it wouldn't save the changes, and it just really cumbersome. And so this is where people have a lot of resistance. This is probably my biggest qualm with the app. If you're weightlifting and you want accurate strain, you have to go through all this, and it's just not as fluid as some other lift apps out there. In fact, I think the app that I use outside in conjunction with Whoop, because I want to estimate my strain on Whoop, but the other app that I use is called Strong. This is the icon up there in the top left, the little blue barbell. I use that in conjunction with Whoop, so I actually track my exact workouts, reps, sets, weight, estimated 1 rep max and everything in there, but I use Whoop to calculate my muscular strain. So when I make a workout like this, which is what I suggest that everybody do, see, as you notice down here, you can't really edit it. You can rename it and share it, or you can delete it. So it's just really cumbersome to have to make a new workout every time. And like I mentioned with the algorithm, it takes your reps, sets, movement, and weight into account. So, and this is part of my, what would you call it, protest. That's the name of the workout. Please make less cumbersome, Whoop. I hope you're watching. So when you're making a new workout, and we'll get back to what I was saying before, you basically add all the exercises. It doesn't really show you, but as you can see in the top, that number 1, it's letting you know, oh, you've got a few on dial. So once you select it, you have to, go select the next workout. And after you found everything that you wanted, you scroll down and you hit add 3 at the bottom. For this, make sure you do reps and weight first and then add sets, because it'll duplicate that. But if you do it the other way around, it'll just be 0. And then you have to go in and add them all. So this is how you create a workout, and it doesn't really seem that cumbersome, but imagine you go up or down in weight, or you change reps or whatever, you have to make the whole workout over. So what I'm suggesting is, instead of doing that each time, make a base one, because the exact weight does feed into their algorithm, but it's not going to change the strain a whole lot. So what you do is you just make a base workout, and then you use that to be like, really, you can make one. Right? You could pick push-pull legs, you could do 5 sets and do your average reps and your average weight, and you could use that for a whole year and never change it if you're weightlifting, even if you're doing different weights, and it's going to give you a ballpark accuracy for strain. I've tested that on myself for the last year. I've tested that with clients. Don't worry about the nuances here, because it'll just take too much of your time. So that being said, this is what it looks like when you actually are in the middle of a workout, which is cool because you can warm up. And then you're like, oh, I've warmed up this many minutes, I'm ready to go. So I hit start set. Active means you're in the middle of the set. For this one, as an example, it's bench press for 10 reps at 80 kg. When you're done with bench press, you'll hit it again. And at the bottom, it'll say end set. And you'll start resting, which is great. So now you know how long you've rested. A lot of people like to go off feel. I think there's something to that. But I do believe that it's good to know how long you're resting, especially for intensity. If you're at low sets and low reps and you're going for strength, you probably want to rest longer. If you're doing higher volume, higher sets, you could probably do minute 30. I like minute 30 personally. And as you notice at the end, I almost skipped over it, there's a cool down period. So basically you're logging your entire time of your workout. The second you start warming up, then all of your individual sets and rests, and then your cool down, and then you're gonna hit end workout. And that's where the magic from the data, where the strength trainer really comes into play. Now they use this as an RPE, which is rate of perceived exertion, on a rate of 1 to 20, which is similar to their strain. Not exactly, right? Because like on 21 you die, but it says this will not affect your strain score. So it's really just RPE for them to take into account on the back end. I've played with this. It does not seem to change the strain that you put into strength trainer. For a while I thought they put that in there just so they could make sure people weren't trying to like cheat the system to get a higher strain, those people who are competitive. But it seems like it's just more of when they give you data, when you log the same kind of workouts over, you can compare and contrast essentially. So typically for me, if it's like, I'm always pushing it in the gym, but I'm realistic with myself. So typically I'm between 12 and 16, right? I'm never like dying unless I'm actually dying. And it's only super easy if it's like a mobility workout versus like a lift. So after I put this in here, and it saves it, then I can access the stats on the homepage. But since we were using an example one, it's not going to give us the information. I want to show you what the one I did yesterday looks like. So you basically go to your homepage, you click on the workout. If you use weight trainer, again, you go to the bottom of the home screen, you hit the plus and you say start activity, you hit weight trainer versus strength trainer, which is again a different option on the home screen. You don't get any of this information. So up top, it shows you 12.9 strain. That is about, from all my tests, 3-ish, maybe 3 to 4 strain higher than if this was logged as a weight training. Because with the weight training, it is only doing cardiovascular input in terms of taking information and estimating strain. Here, as you can see in this particular workout, it was 60% muscular. So it can tell that from the data you put in the workout and your rest and your sets and your heart rate during all of that, and it sets out an estimation. Is this 100% correct? Absolutely not. But it is a much more accurate ballpark than using weight trainers. So if you're hitting the gym, you absolutely need to use this. And in fact, 40% cardio is higher than what I normally do. I think that's because I was doing some knees over toe stuff to warm up before I did front squat. So typically I'm closer to 20 to 30% cardio and 70 to 80% of muscular. So, and it has these nice little things up here, right? Like little insights and whatnot, but the main part is up here. When you scroll down, it will show you your heart rate throughout the entire duration and shows you how much tonnage you moved in total. And then for each movement, as you scroll, it shows you total reps, tonnage, and it associates it with your heart rate, right? So this is where I was doing knees over toes and did my actual sets through here, which is probably why it says I have some cardio. But that information is really interesting, and you don't get that from normal weightlifting. And the heart rate zones for a workout are super cool too. So I don't think I did it, but if I clicked on zone 3, it would show me exactly where in the workout I had zone 3. And so this is really interesting information, especially if you're in tune with health. You know this, and if you're not, I would say that you want to get a lot of zone 2, some zone 3, a little bit of zone 4. If you can get a couple seconds or a couple minutes of zone 5, that's great. But what a lot of people realize, or rather don't realize who are weightlifting, is that they're getting hardly any zone 3 and zone 4. I probably got all of this when I was destroying myself during front squats because I just like pump up a lot of reps and I don't really stop at the top or the bottom. Otherwise, other days that I'm using strength trainer, I'm almost primarily zone 1 and zone 2. So this is really, really good to note. But yeah, you still have any of this information if you use weightlifting through the normal exercise button. Now, I'm going to go back and look at volleyball to show you a difference. So if you notice at the top, I can find it. If you notice at the top, this is a much higher strain. Building a rope, you spent 52 minutes at 70 to 80% of your max HR heart rate. 12 more minutes than typically during volleyball. That's why you log. That's why you start and stop, and you actually tell it what you do because you can get that kind of comparison. So here was where I was resting in between games, but if you scroll down, look at that zone 4 and zone 3. This is why if you want to be functionally fit, whether you've had the app for a while or you're just getting into it, you want to do a variety of things. I think hitting the weight room 2 to 3 times a week is great. And you'll cover this by doing that, or even like walking or mobility or yoga or stretching. But you really need to get the heart rate up a couple of times a week in just one session of HIIT. I don't know if you've heard of the Norwegian 4x4, but that's a really good option too. Or sport, whether that's volleyball, soccer, swimming, something like that, you could easily push this. So it's good to have that data so that way you know you're getting a little bit of all of the zones. And at the bottom, it shows you calories, average heart rate, all this other stuff. Just really a lot of great data. Shameless plug. You know how I said you could find me? I don't know where to put myself. I'm going to do a lot more things on Whoop and just understanding recovery metrics and this stuff in the future. If you are considering getting on Whoop, or you're already on Whoop and you want to be with a group of people, I have this friends and friends of friends Whoop group where we challenge each other, friendly competition. No one judges anyone else, but it is really cool to see what other people are doing, what their stats are, and everything like that. If you are wanting to try it for a month free, again, I'm not sponsored by Whoop. I just love the product. My clients use it. I will put this link in my description. Just copied it, bitches. That way you can try it a month on me. Yes, I get a free month, but considering I just told you all the cool shit about it and the not so cool shit, I think I deserve it. So I think that about covers it. If you have any questions, let me know. I love talking about the nuance of this stuff. I'm going to put out some shorter versions, pieces of this on Instagram. And I wouldn't recommend Whoop more. Just know that there's a steep learning curve. There are some nuances. And really how deep you want to go depends on what you're looking for, right? I love to match this up with blood work and DEXA scan, especially if you're trying to improve your hormones and trying to improve your body composition. This will cover your sleep, your fitness side of things, but then it's really nice to corroborate that with some data. Again, blood work and DEXA are my favorite to compare to this. Also tracking, I love chronometer. That's a big thing that I would suggest people use for macros, micros, calories. Between those four, it seems a lot. If you don't need all of them, don't use all of them. But if you cross-reference those four, you can learn a lot. That's what I help people do. And see you guys next time for another controversial video.